What is going on, flockers? And welcome to another Flocking Fathers podcast. I hope everybody is having a great day. I hope everybody is enjoying their quarantine. It's pretty crazy, man. I haven't really stepped out of the house to do too much besides grocery shopping. Been to a restaurant a few times. I was walking through Target the other day, and I was looking at all the people, and everybody has their masks on, thankfully. But it was crazy because I just started thinking, is this going to be the new norm? Are we going to ever get past this? I was going to do some research into the Spanish flu, see how long that lasted before people started acting normal again, maybe interacting again. I am curious to see that. I'm curious about that because, we have so much more technology than we did then. I'm sure our biologists and biology has just come a long way since then. Medical care and medical inventions have just come so far since then. But still, it seems like this COVID pandemic is probably going to take us out, or change the life we live in for a while. And to me, that's just crazy. I mean, I was 17, I think, my junior year of high school when 9/11 happened. I remember exactly what was going on. I was walking into my homeroom classroom. I think it was health or something like that. And I was late, and I get into the classroom and everybody's quiet and the TV's on. Nuts. So I lived through that. I lived through, obviously, the bubble bursting and, around that time for the tech bubble. Lived and graduated during the recession of 2008 or 2008, 2009. So you can imagine how shitty of a time I had, graduating college and thinking, I haven't made, got a college degree and about to go out there and, fly high, get a good paying job. Yeah, didn't happen. And now this pandemic, it's really crazy to see this happening. I really, pray that something comes up and, something happens. Our government really takes charge. All these, research companies maybe come up with something, faster than we expect. But who knows? The craziest part is there's probably going to be a lot of babies. I would say during this whole period, this is probably going to be another baby boom time. And the reason I say that is everybody's stuck in the house. Everybody is bored, all these, and it might be married couples. It might be, people that are, just dating, some things like that. I bet people stay in their relationships a lot longer during this time as well, because there's nowhere to go meet people other than online, I guess. And even at that, you got to be a little bit more cautious because we don't know who this person's been around or that person's been around. So stick it out in your relationship. You might even get pregnant, maybe even get married or have, right after this whole thing, you've decided to get married, you go out and get married. So I bet you the divorce rate skyrockets, and I bet you babies, babies, there's going to be a lot more babies. It's crazy because I read this book called Freakonomics. And I finished it about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and there's a section in it about about I think crime rate and why the crime rate why everybody thought the crime rate was going to rise, I think in the early 90s, but it ended up falling. And it's because of the Roe versus Wade case where abortion became legal. And because they kind of take the steps if abortion wasn't legal, then more of these unfit mothers and mothers would have children, and these children would end up living in terrible conditions, and then those children would actually grow up and have or gravitate towards crime and add to the crime rate. It was pretty interesting to hear that. So it might be some kind of situation. I'm sure some economists are really gonna, love it down the road to see how this all pans out. Yeah. So I mean, just thinking about it being our new norm, it's wild, man. It's wild. You can't let your kids go play with other kids as much. Not sure if this might mutate into something more. I've known, a handful of people that have gotten over it. I did find out, I wouldn't call him a friend of mine, but more of an acquaintance that I used to box and kickbox with at a gym in Tempe, Arizona, that he passed away. He was a nurse on the front lines, and God rest his soul and, bless his family. But, this thing fucking got him. It got him. And he was young. I mean, probably close to my age. I mean, I'd say, early 40s, if not, late 30s. And it got him. I mean, who knows? I don't know if he had underlying health conditions or anything like that. But you would think being a nurse, they'd probably check for all that. They might not, express that to the world, but still, I mean, it's pretty crazy and very sad and disheartening. So, again, this world has changed. It's going to be wild. I'm wondering if a recession is going to happen with this too. Me and my wife, want to buy a house and, really take a lot of those next steps in our lives. I mentioned in the last podcast that I was a little bit of a late bloomer. I feel career-wise, I'm still trying to get set into that, figure out what I want to do more with my life. And I think also, just life experience or life, I guess. We're looking to buy a house, start at a family a little bit later, and, go from there. But again, I was wondering if like a recession's bound to come. I know that markets are cyclical, and the last time we had a recession was, almost more than 10 years ago. Sorry. I'm in finance and trying to do math in my head. Anyway, so we'll see how this goes. I mean, it's going to be pretty wild, good wild ride. After the election, that's always a big time for markets to fluctuate, and I don't know. Anyway, so today I want to cover corporal punishments. Did it happen to you when you were young? I'm sure older people that are listening to this, people I would say, 10 years older than I, maybe my age as well, dealt with it a little bit more. I know my parents did, but, did you deal with it? Was it, do you think it worked? Do you think it, worked? Do you think children would benefit from it more today? Or do you think the parenting styles and how we've kind of gotten a little bit softer, I would say, are working? So personally, when I was growing up, I didn't get too much corporal punishment, aka spanking, or getting whacked, getting the chancla tossed at you or hit with it. But I experienced some of it. I definitely, got my fair share of kind of butt whoopings and definitely some yelling matches, screaming matches, especially when my father, who is actually my stepdad, but my father came into my life. There was a lot more, for the first few years, getting in each other's faces, yelling, and me just throwing this big attitude. It's definitely different because I came from my mom, who was a single mom for a long period of time, lived, with my grandma and her family, and didn't get a ton of punishment, in that. So felt like I was the man of the house. I was her firstborn. Mom was 19 when she had me. So, again, I'm pretty close in age, I guess you would say. So it was, definitely got pinched a few times, especially in church. If I was talking, my grandma would definitely pinch me. But not a ton of spanking. I got hit with the wooden spoon, I think a few times. My grandma hit me with her chancla or her sandal a few times. And I did get bitch slapped by my mom one time. I think I was in 7th grade. She had made me food, and I complained about what she had made me. And she was pregnant, and she was pissed, I think. And I don't know if I snapped at her, yelled at her, and she slapped me right across the face, hit me down to the floor. And that's when I knew not to fuck with my mom, especially when she's pregnant. So that was a little bit scary. Anyway, so my take on it is, I think it can be used if used can be okay if it's used appropriately. I know people are going to completely disagree with me on that, but I just feel like this generation has gotten a little soft, the upcoming generation. And I don't feel like beating your child and, pulling out the belt or sticks or, anything like that, weapons on them. But I do feel like if they're a little bit afraid of you, that, they're going to behave better. Though I know the counter argument to that is if they're afraid of you, they're going to lie to you. They're going to tell you those things. But you have to have a good balance of this corporal punishment, I think. You have to be able to, it has to be to an extreme level to where the point that your points and what you're telling them are not getting through. I'd say in my case, my son is very rambunctious. He's very, very rambunctious. He definitely won't listen on the first try, won't listen on the second try sometimes. And I have to, threaten him or put him in timeout. I have to, just put him in timeout, hear him scream. I have to, sit him down, take away his TV privileges, take away a lot of things. But there's times where he just doesn't care. He goes too far. He'll do things that he really shouldn't and do things repeatedly that he shouldn't. That's the time I've taken to his ass. And, I don't feel like you should hit your kids anywhere besides their bottom. But I do, I'm not opposed to spanking his ass. I do not hurt him. I do not leave him marks. There's nothing that goes along that. But I think if you give him enough, a sharp enough blow, I guess, where they feel it, he's afraid of it. He really is. So now when I tell him things, and he sees the anger inside of me boiling up, and I walk towards him, he knows that he doesn't want to get that. And I haven't had to spank him, I would say in, over a year probably, because we do have different methods. I'm steps. And then once he steps up to that point, it's, it scares me. I don't like it. I hate putting any type of pain on my child. I hate seeing any pain on his face. So when I'm doing that, like I said, it's a very extreme case, and he would really have to take me to a point almost there's nothing else that's going to work. My steps are, I definitely sit with him, talk to him, explain to him why what he's doing is wrong. Sometimes he'll take to it. Sometimes he'll be wiggling around and laughing and, making jokes or whatever. The next point is taking things away. So, all right, you want to act like that, I'm going to take your Legos away. I'm going to take your TV privileges away. I'm going to, make you, I don't know, taking certain things away from him, the things that he likes, outside privileges sometimes. I'm not going to let you go out and, hang out with your friends that are next door or talk with your friends that are next door. Next, it will come to, timeout, staying in your room, almost being grounded. He hates timeout because he can't sit still. He's just, 5, almost 6-year-old that's just wants to run around, rambunctious, jumps. He's a talker. He's very outgoing, just like me. Wants to continue, wants to talk your ear off. And so sitting still in one spot is like almost like death to him. He's just like, I hate this. I think he's even said, I hate this. He'll start kicking things, which we have to go in and talk to him about. He'll start kicking things around him or, playing with things and throwing them against the wall. So we have to put him in a neutral location where he can't do that. Then, if he's just consistently doing this, consistently not listening, consistently, I've taken it to the point where I spank him. Like it or not, that's my way of parenting. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with that, but that's how I've taken it. My parents, in a lot of cases, did it with me. Not, again, not anything severe, but they did. And I'm sure my parents' my grandparents definitely, pulled out the belt. They, uses their hands to swat them. There was a lot there. I'm sure there was a lot of corporal punishment, but again, it was a lot more accepted back there. It was pretty much say, you deal with your kids. Don't tell me how to fucking raise my children. So from that, I see it's hard in this society because when you are, when you're a parent, especially now in such a soft society, like there's so many ways that you could go wrong or be scared. And I think that fear actually takes away from our discipline, which could affect our children. We don't want our kid going to school, obviously, and saying, "Oh, my dad hits me." They might not say spank. My dad hits me, because what's going to happen? That's going to escalate probably to, the higher ups at the school. And that might even escalate to bringing, child protective services or something like that in. So we definitely explain when we've had to, put Joey in that position, that this is a spanking. This is a punishment for something that you've done. We're not hitting you. We're not, we're not doing this because we like to do it. We're doing this because you took us to a level where we've given you all the options and you have ignored all of them. And that it's usually after we've done it, we'll sit down with him again and, ask him why he thinks that happened. And he knows for the most part that he was being bad, and he, put himself in that position. So I always tell him that you control your own actions. So from when he was 3 years old, you control your own actions. Anything you do is you. Nobody's going to make you do it. So when you come and tell me, "Oh, so-and-so, made me do this." Well, why did you do it? Well, you did it because you wanted to do it. So you controlled your own actions, and now you're going to have to live with the repercussions or the consequences of those actions. So I mean, it is funny because I'm talking like 3 years old, and people are probably like, "What the fuck? He's talking to a 3-year-old like that?" But we've always talked to him like an adult for the most part. He learned how to talk really early. He also, I feel like he's done a lot of stuff early. We got him potty trained really early, wiping himself really early. We're working on tying his shoes, which I would say this is about a good age to tie his shoes. It's hard as shit. I don't really remember having, or like my parents teaching me how to tie my shoes. I don't know if they did or if I learned it at school. So I'm terrible at it. I try to do the bunny ears. Excuse me. He doesn't know, the bunny ear thing. I try to do the loop, swoop, and pull. I feel like that's too complicated. I feel like I didn't even start doing the loop, swoop, and pull until I was like in 6th grade, and people were making fun of me for doing the fucking bunny ears. So I don't know. I just think the tying the shoes is going to be a difficult thing, which sucks because there's so many cool kids' guy shoes that I feel like we can cop for him to look cool and be fresh, because his dad is a fashionista. So I want him to look fresh. He's been wearing this chain that I gave him when I proposed to his mom since I gave it to him. It was like he was 2, I think, late 2. And he's been rocking it. I think it's a staple of all of his outfits. We get him as much cool shit as possible. Thank God for H&M, Nordstrom Rack. Carter's is, you can find some cool stuff at too. And those kids sections, sometimes, even Target, actually. Target, you have some cool kids clothes. But, again, I'm a big fashionista. I like him outfitted and looking really good. He looks like me. Tooting my own horn. Toot, toot. So, yeah. I would like to get your guys' take on this. So, again, please go to Flocking Fathers on Facebook. Go to Flocking Fathers page. Reference this podcast or reference this topic, and, send me what you think. I love to hear from you guys, and I'll respond. I mean, we're trying to grow this. There's not a ton of people that are in the community yet, but I'm looking to do more for the community. If you're a mother, look at the Mother Flockers page on Facebook and Instagram. Also, I'm sorry, the Flocking Fathers page on Instagram is at Flocking Fathers. Mother Flockers is at Mother Flockers. And, or Twitter, both the same thing, same handles. So I would like to hear from you. I would like to hear what you think, why. I'm not looking for you to bash my character or bash how I raise my children or child and, soon to now children, but I do, I like a good, dialogue, and I respect everybody's opinions because I know everybody does it different. So please, go out, tell me what you think, about this corporal punishment situation. If you got it when you were young, if you never received it, if you've actually, used it on your child. And I know that, the people that are going to join this community aren't going to be people that beat their children or anything like that. And again, no judgment. I don't want any judgment on the page. If I find it or hear about it, I'll just, remove you from the page. I do like a good debate. So, if people, I don't know if I want to say debate, but a good back and forth between, if you agree with it or if you don't. I'll probably join in. I'll probably be the only one, at this point, because we're still trying to grow the community, that'll jump in. I'll give you your props and thank you for, liking the page and interacting. And then, we could talk about it a little bit more. Hey, maybe you'll give me some insight and, stuff that I haven't even known. Moving on to another topic. Do you think that harsher discipline or softer discipline is going to lead your child down a better or worse path? I think there's a lot of people that really put faith into their young children. They put faith into their adolescents. They put faith into their teenage children, which is great. I hope to do that more and more as I could, trust my child more and more, and we can have that good dialogue to where, as he gets older, obviously, to where I can, put my faith in him, trust him, not worry that he's going to, tell me lies. He could be honest with me. I could be honest with him, and we could move forward. I do feel if you're a softer parent and you don't, or you let your kid walk all over you a lot of times, and if you're a parent that does this, I don't think you'll realize it and you won't admit it. But maybe, that's the problem. You don't take, don't take a step back and look at yourself and look how you're raising your child and see if it's a little bit, soft, or if you're letting the child get away with a little bit too much. I really don't agree with parents that, their child cries or cries about something or complains about something and right away they're giving it to them. Just my opinion, I don't agree with that. I don't agree. Sometimes I've seen children just straight yell at their mom or dad, and their parents aren't, don't even react as much to that. Whereas if my kid was yelling at me, we would have issues. And we're going to have issues with that, until this person becomes a young adult. And then hopefully by then he or she will understand that, that's not the best way to get your dad's attention. It's a good way to get your ass kicked, but not a good way to get your dad's attention. So, yeah, I see this, from time to time, and I've also hung out with people whose parents didn't really give them that guidance. Some of them have turned out great, maybe the world kicked their ass a little bit and gave them that guidance. And other people, they've turned into assholes, or they've spoiled little, brats, or, some of them have gone down a really dark path too. To me, it's, it's a little crazy. I know that when I was young, I also think being too strict, and we'll go into that a little bit, being too strict is not a good look either. When you're too strict, don't let your children do anything. It tears them away from the world that we're living in. It tears them away, brings them back. So when they actually get older and they are wanting to, branch out, they branch out the hardest way possible. In Phoenix, there's a large Mormon population. And I grew up with very, very, strict Christian family members. And, I've seen how, firsthand, how you holding them back and really keeping them under your thumb, your children, that once they get of age and once they kind of see how the world works, they branch out. They they do their own thing. They explore their sexuality a bit more. They end up, drinking, trying drugs, and really going deep into a dark side. Whereas if you're really, open with them and, still have restrictions on a lot of things, not be too soft, but, still have these restrictions on things, you'll be able to forge more of a relationship. I'll tell you right now, I do think my mother is a little bit softer of a parent. My dad is a military man, and he's definitely a harder parent, very much a yeller, and hey, do this now. Both have rubbed off on me. My dad probably a little bit more, but I'm working on it. My mom is great. I love her, but she's also one of my best friends. We talked about everything. It doesn't matter what it is. I can tell her every time I've been to jail, every time I've broken up with a girl or been broken up with, anytime I'm hurt, inside and out, she's the first person I call. Now it's my wife, but she's still one of the first people I call, because we forged that relationship. I was still a little bit afraid of her, I guess, when I was young and afraid to get in trouble. So I definitely lied and, told stories about things that I didn't want them to know about. But once I got of age and started doing my own thing, I kind of leaned on her and let her know that, I had done these things. And we won't go into many details, but, I did start, I think, smoking weed when I was young, 7th grade maybe. Stopped it, when I was about 20 because I can't handle that shit anymore. I don't like feeling, I don't know. I don't like the feeling. It gives me bad anxiety. And I know everybody said, well, now you could do strains. And it is crazy how the fucking weed has changed, to be honest. Weed used to be 3 strains of weed. You had swag weed, where you pulled out the seeds. You had dank weed, which kind of was the middle ground. And you had chronic. A lot of times when we were young, we smoked that swag weed, thought we were getting really high when we probably weren't. Graduated to the dank and then even to the chronic. And now there's like all kinds of hybrids and weird things you could do, and they could control your high, supposedly. I still think high is fucking high. I'm going to get high and I'm going to wig out probably. And I've heard these edibles will make you fly to a different planet if you take enough. Not for me. I have done mushrooms before, which is pretty fucking awesome. We'll probably do them again with good friends, but that's a story for maybe I'll throw a podcast up while on mushrooms. Probably not, though. I'll be out exploring the world and telling you how pretty the trees and the stars are. Now I'm getting myself off track. Anyway, we're going back to the, being too soft and potentially being too hard. I'm not in favor with either. I think I'm just the right amount of, both for my child. If I was going to say anything, though, I'd probably lean to a little bit of the harder side right now. But he is young. His mind is being molded. He's trying to be shaped. And he's like my clay, and I'm trying to mold him into a good person. And I hope I don't fuck that up. I hope he's able to, come to me. We've been watching these shows, Intervention, and it's really fucked up. There's a lot of these kids that are just like, I know that there was like a lot of underlining things with them. Parents, alcoholics, maybe single parents, things like that. But I'm a product of an alcoholic household, at least for most of my life. My dad passed away when he was 45, I think, of alcoholism. Could never get that shit straight. Had an aunt that died of drug use and alcoholism. And it's, I've seen it a lot in my family. I've probably been to more funerals than I have weddings. And that always scared me. But I definitely have seen it more in my life, I feel like. But I promised myself, I think it was good that I saw it, because I saw it coming up and I didn't want to be that in any way. I wanted to prove everybody wrong, because I'm sure a lot of people, including family members, were like, this kid's gonna, these kids, me and my brother, were going to fuck up and just be those fuck ups, probably be in jail, something like that, always be in trouble. Well, boom, bitches. I'm not, and I'm doing pretty well for myself. Didn't have kids out of wedlock, though I'm not saying that was like planned, but didn't have them. Had met my awesome wife, and trying to get my shit together in my life right now. And I'm not afraid to say that. Some people are fucking, wanting everything to be. I definitely look at people and get jealous of what they have, and I think that's a knock on my personality. But I think I'm getting better, trying to work hard, work on this podcast, work on, other things in my life to make them better, both for monetary purposes and for happiness. So I was saying that when you're, too soft on your kids, they end up turning out into spoiled assholes. Maybe expect the world to get to them. So if they ever have any tough roadblocks or fall on their face, they don't know how to handle it, and maybe they might lash out, get in trouble, or when you let them, when they're free to do everything at their house, and then they meet someone that could potentially be their significant other, there's no bend in them. It's like it's my way or the highway. It's always them. And then, children that come from too strict of a household, a lot of them times they'll fly the fucking coop. They're going to be, like I said, turn to, the partying, turn to potentially drugs, turn to, the sex and their sexuality, and, living out all the shit that they had to get out before when they were, stuck in the house or stuck under their parents' thumb. So I guess this is a podcast to kind of make you think, reflect on yourself and what type of parenting style that you have. And I would say, look yourself in the mirror. There's no good. I mean, I wouldn't say there's no good or bad, but, for the people listening, I'm sure there's, everybody does things their own way. But really take a step back and look at the way you're doing it. And, if you feel like it's right, do you feel like it's helping your children? Do you feel like it's setting them back? And, shoot me another message or message on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter that I could post it on my page. And let me know what you think about this topic as well. And I'd appreciate any type of feedback on this, but also ideas for topics, in the future that we could talk about. I'd love to tackle these things, and eventually I will have other fathers on here, and we'll be able to shoot the shit, maybe make the podcast even a little bit longer, or the segments a little bit longer. I like communicating that way. It is definitely an art to talk to yourself. Essentially, it's actually you're mentally thinking about an audience, but you're essentially talking to yourself through these podcasts. So I definitely will have some guests on, people that are parents, people that are maybe wanting to be parents, and people that are single that maybe have an idea of parenting, and they just want to throw out why they're not parents or why they don't want to be. Anyway, I hope you guys have a great day or night, whatever time you are listening to this. And I look forward to another podcast next week. This is Gregorio Armijo, or Greg Armijo, signing out. Have a good one.